Good morning again. I'm Jackie Clark, the mayor of the Village of Indiantown. Little housekeeping rules, please put your cell phones on silent and speak into the mic. Right. So now we're going to start with the introductions.
Good morning, John Millay, Superintendent, Martin County School District.
Gracia Lee Roberts, Martin County School Board.
Marcia Powers, Chair, Martin County School Board.
Victoria Deppenthaler, Martin County School Board.
Mike Mortel, City of Stewart, City Attorney.
Becky Bruner, Commissioner, City of Stewart.
Troy McDonald, Commissioner, City of Stewart.
Eula Clark, Mayor, City of Stewart.
Good morning, Merritt Matheson, Vice Mayor of the City of Stewart.
Good morning, Mike Meyer, Commissioner, City of Stewart.
David Dias, City Manager, City of Stewart.
Howard Brown, Village Manager, Village of Indiantown.
Guyton Stone, Councilman, Village of Indiantown.
Anthony Dowling, Vice Mayor, Indiantown.
Councilwoman Janet Hernandez, Village of Indiantown.
Good morning. Susan Gibbs Thomas, Council Member, Village of Indiantown.
Wade Vos, Village Attorney, Village of Indiantown.
Sharon Krista, County Administrator, Martin County Board of County Commissioners.
Harold Jenkins, Martin County Commissioner.
Stacy Hetherington, Chair of the Martin County Board of County Commission.
Ed Campy, Martin County Commissioner.
Sarah Hurd, Martin County Commissioner.
Sarah Woods, Martin County Attorney.
Thank you, everyone. It is good to be here today. So, Ms. Harrington, do you have any comments?
Any comments?
Good morning, and nice to see everybody here in person, and thank you for being here.
Mayor Eula Clark?
Good morning, thank you. Welcome, everyone, to our City of Stewart and to our Blake Library, which is in the county's precinct, and we're just thankful to be here on this fall day.
Marcia Powers.
Yes, good morning. Thank you. It's great to see everyone, and thank you to the county for once again hosting this meeting.
We're going to start with our public comments. The first one is Ms. Lindsay Benson. Over here.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lindsay Benson, and I'm here on behalf of Treasure Coast Classical Academy. Just a few short weeks ago, one of our children was nearly hit by a speeding car while crossing Cove Road on their way into school. A few days prior to that incident, there was a 3-car pileup just feet from the entrance to our school. Today, I am here to bring attention to the concern at hand, and that is the fact that we desperately need a designated school zone on Cove Road. In the mornings and afternoons, cars line up in the middle of Cove Road waiting to turn while other traffic is whizzing by on either side. Some of these cars are driving on Cove Road as fast as they do on I-95 with absolutely no consequence. Because TCCA is in a huge residential area, there is a large number of our children who walk or ride their bikes to and from school. We do have a crossing guard, but only for a maximum of 10 to 15 minutes per shift. It is my greatest fear that one of our own children will be hit by a speeding vehicle on their way to school. I am here today to ask you to please consider looking into and finding a solution. We, the parents of TCCA, are here to ask that a school zone be designated and enforced in our area of Cove Road. Please don't wait until one of our children is injured or killed. There are many other schools around town that have both a stoplight and a designated school zone. Martin Highway is the first area that comes to mind for me. Please help us protect our children, help us slow down the ongoing traffic. Please designate and enforce a school zone so that our children can feel safe while crossing Cove Road. These children should not be afraid to cross the street on their way to school. We need help. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Heather Ruckus.
Good morning. My name is Heather Rux, and I'm also here on behalf of Treasure Coast Classical Academy. We are in need of a school zone. Right now, there is a single traffic light with no markings or caution signals for drivers to slow down or even alert them that there is a school present. The speed limit is 40, going to 45 miles an hour in front of the school, and I can tell you that people go way faster than that. The red light has been run with scholars in the crosswalk with crossing guards. I have witnessed it. This is scary when a young girl was just killed in Fort Pierce for someone who is too busy to stop for a bus. According to the Florida State Statute 316.1895, the establishment of a school speed zone enforcement designation, Article 5, a school zone speed limit may not be less than 15 miles per hour except by local regulation. No school zone speed limit shall be more than 20 miles per hour in an urbanized area. Such speed limit may be enforced only during those 30 minutes before, during, and 30 minutes after the periods of time when pupils are arriving at a regularly scheduled breakfast program or regularly scheduled school session and leaving a regularly scheduled school session, is what I found on the state website for school zones. Nowhere was there listed that a single traffic light is an alternate to a school zone. So I hope you really take our concern in consideration that we need one for Treasure Coast Classical Academy.
Thank you. Next is Miss Jackie Miss Jackie, I don't want to mispronounce her last name.
Janzinger.
Okay, you can start now. Thank you. Good morning. I have come here this morning to let you know that if you're 87 and you walk with a cane and you're very short, you cannot handle the new recycle pails. But I found out doing some research that you can get help from the county and Waste Management. This was not publicized on any print materials that I received from the county or Waste Management. You can get a doctor's note like you do for a handicap parking sticker, and then the driver will come up to your driveway, take your pail, bring it back down and bring it back up. My neighbor volunteered to do that for me because he's afraid that I might fall. How nice of him. Nobody here thought about that. Okay, that's the end of that. That's my public service announcement for the day. Now I want to talk face-to-face with BOCC, the school board, and the Stewart commissioners. Martin County, I believe that you're taking advantage of the smaller attendance at most meetings by passing too many changes to the comp plan, last week's being the most disgraceful. Staff in the majority tell us to trust them. They're just removing some duplicate language. I've heard that tale before. Just talk to the people on 18th Street who were lied to about the runway extension and have suffered greatly since. The majority on the school board seem to be campaign managers for our misinformed governor who is running for president in 2024. They did not sound like people this past year who cared about the lives nor the health and welfare of our teachers and especially our children. They do not understand what rights means. You wear a seatbelt. You can't smoke in buildings. These are life and death decisions that you were asked to make based upon science, not the whims of people. School board, you disappointed me this year. Please read some newspapers, magazines, turn off Fox News, and take a vacation from Facebook. The Stewart Commission is annoying me greatly also. You have not seen a project that you didn't pass through. You're making Canna Highway into a nightmare. How many damn gas stations and big box retailers do we need in our little town of Stewart? When I drive around these days, I see huge swaths of cleared land.
Ma'am, your time's up.
Time's up. My time's up? You didn't give me a warning.
We don't have a warning. I don't have a warning on here.
Oh, well, anyway, I'm just annoyed because not only do you not vote right, but you annex land from Jensen Beach to do your destruction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next one is Mr. Tom Pine.
Good morning. My name is Tom Pine. I live in Jensen Beach at present. The main reason I'm speaking to you today is the beautification of Martin County. I'll start on the north side of the new Roosevelt Bridge, where the city of Stewart has filled the median strips with massive amounts of flowers. I bet the staff that came up with this plan don't have those massive plantings around their yards, nor do our elected officials, because they wouldn't spend the time or the money for the upkeep. The counties know better. Downtown Rio, the median filled with plantings, a bike lane would have been more appropriate, but they're not nearly as pretty. Now down to Port Salerno. The county is doing away with the center turn lane on A1A and adding median strips. More and more plantings. I guess the center turn lanes were old-fashioned, and we have to keep up with the Joneses. There are two things in common with all these planting beds. They use lots of water and lots of labor to make them work. It seems like staff, in this instance, is treating climate change as a government hoax, just like those people who think COVID-19 is a government hoax because they don't know anyone who got the virus. While water at the present time along the Treasure Coast is not a problem, any time that could change. So is it wise to squander such a valuable resource? The west coast of the United States has been in a drought for over a decade, and according to an article from the New York Times, Colorado River is running out of water. Not decades down the road, but right around the corner in 2023. Climate change is not a government hoax. Just because it's not happening right here along the Treasure Coast doesn't mean it's not true. The days of paying slave wages to the men and women who do all the landscaping in our county are finally on their way out. In less than 5 years, these men and women will be making $15 an hour. That's over a 30% increase. How many hundreds, if not thousands of man-hours does it take to care for these planting beds throughout the county? It doesn't matter to staff or elected officials. They'll just raise taxes one way or another. More Martin Countyans will go to bed hungry, or even worse, more homelessness. Our local government in action. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is Ms. Mayfield.
Hello, my name is Kaya Mayfield, and I am the mayor of the town of Sewell's Point. I'm here speaking on behalf of the commission. I understand that you all are here for a joint meeting, and I was told that the main purpose is to coordinate planning among local government entities and the school district to ensure that schools can keep pace with residential development. I'm grateful for the commitment to planning for the youth of Martin County. And while Sewell's Point does not have a school located within its boundaries and does not anticipate a great impact numbers-wise to the district, the Martin County School District does play an important role in our town. I did some brief, unofficial internet research, and out of all the municipalities in our county, Sewell's Point is second only to Indiantown in terms of percentage of residents under the age of 18. We are a family-friendly, kid-friendly community, and I think people have noticed. We currently have 20 new homes being built. Also, as a mother of 3 kids currently enrolled in the Martin County school system and an avid member of the Bus Stop Club, I can personally attest to the fact that our town has seen many new families moving in from all over the country to established homes within the town limits. The town, like you all, has a proactive approach to safety for our students. We have 12 school buses daily, 6 in the morning and 6 in the afternoon, that route through our town, transporting students to 3 different public schools. A police officer follows every bus through every stop in Sewell's Point unless they are on another call. They follow up to 100 buses a month. There's also a zero-tolerance policy for those not stopping for the bus. Officers have already written 7 citations this year, with each citation for failing to stop costing the driver $265. In addition, passing a school bus on the side where students enter and exit requires a mandatory court appearance. I know you guys are also speaking about some capital projects as well today, and since I'm up here, I would like to wrap this up by mentioning our shared projects. In February 2021, the Florida Department of Emergency Management confirmed the formal approval of the Martin County Local Mitigation Strategy, which included the mitigation projects the town of Sewell's Point shares with Martin County, specifically a flood mitigation project for North Sewell's Point Road, estimated to cost $13 million, and 3 outfall repair projects in North Sewell's Point estimated at $1.6 million combined. The town of Sewell's Point has also partnered with Martin County Utilities to successfully complete the Connect to Protect centralized sewer program in North Sewell's Point and the water main replacement in High Point. The town continues to anticipate progress on initiating a centralized sewer program for the 652 septic tanks that are left to convert, which will benefit our local community and the regional environment. Thank you very much for your time and continued commitment to the residents of our county and its municipalities, and I look forward to discussing our collective views and shared visions for success. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stephen Layton. Stephen.
Stephanie.
Stephen.
Good morning, Stephen, Stephanie, Layton, whatever you want to call it today, citizen here in Martin County. I would start by saying thank you to the Board of County Commissioners for the flood project in Hope Heights, getting that to completion, working with those residents, getting them out and getting them into a home. That was a big deal, and thank you on behalf of all the people, especially Commissioner Jenkins. To Indiantown, a big weekend. Congratulations, and I think that we'll have a very successful rodeo. I know I'm heading out there shortly. City of Stuart, might as well just keep going around the wheel. Just coming from the office, the new trees and the median, I love it. It looks great. Keep doing it. I'm a big proponent of that. The new coconut trees, I think, really bring in and tie in downtown Stuart. So thank you for doing that, and I would encourage you to do more. To the school board, and I don't know if this is a joint conversation and echoing some of the families that have students or scholars that go to TCCA, and the safety zone or school zone that is out front. Being in law enforcement for the last 20 years, I can assure you that it is very congested, it is very high speed. Those individuals coming off of 95 going to work and trying to get to US 1 are really traveling at a high rate of speed, and the last thing we want is somebody to get run over. I don't know that they know they can navigate to Salerno Road, but as a sheriff coins the wrong exit, we don't want them to come there and get a speeding ticket or something where a child is hurt. There's also, with the planned increase in students, you know, we have roughly 800 on the waiting list just to get into the school. And the expansion of that school may want to look at the Atlantic Ridge extension that David Anderson is on. There is a way to navigate into the traffic circle or bus loop, if you will, and that may be an option to really get cars off of Cove Road. But I guess first and foremost, because of the situation that's going on Cove Road each morning and in the afternoon, if we can somehow or another get signage and some lights and some of the proper things that we do, and I don't know if that is in your wheelhouse or if that's Indiantown's issue or maybe it's Commissioner Campy's, but whoever's it is, just addressing that and seeing that we can somehow or another get that addressed. So thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for messing up your name. We're going to move right along to the agenda items. First up is the County Capital Improvement Plans Project. Where's Mr. Griggs?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Chris Getzfried. I'm the Capital Projects Administrator, Martin County Public Works.
And my name is Luke Lambert. I'm the Traffic Engineering Administrator. My name was seemingly left off the agenda for this, but that's okay.
Public Works and Capital Projects have been moving through some of the projects that we presented to you last time. Oh, come on, can't get it. We'll start off with the infrastructure reinvestment program continuation with the neighborhood restoration projects. We've just completed the Old Palm City project, and that brings the total number of these neighborhood restorations to 14. We're continuing with the rest of the list that you see there. Hibiscus Park and Gomez Harbor Estates are under construction, and then following that will be Leilani Heights, Beau Rivage, and Hobe Hills. Hobe Hills is essentially designs completed, and we'll be working on bringing that to bid shortly. Future projects include the Hobe Heights pump station project, which is one of the FEMA projects for flood mitigation. That's moving along the schedule. Coral Gardens, Port Salerno. The rest of these projects are deep in design.
So this list is 10 of our recent roadway projects. 9 of them have been grant funded, and Koisenda, that project is funded with impact fees and private contributions from the developer. So we just wanted to highlight that these are projects where we're leveraging the 5-year work program with DOT and making our developers contribute for their development impacts. Some sidewalk projects we've done recently. Dixie Highway at Alicia Street, we did a nice turn lane through there. In the last 5 years, there were 5 crashes at Alicia. A lot of them were rear ends where people were impatient for those left-turning vehicles. And we're hopeful that this will be a great remedy for that. And we've also extended the multimodal path that's along Dixie Highway. So that was a great project to tie all those elements together. And you can kind of see FEC has been doing some improvements out there as well. So in the photo on the bottom. Next.
Most of you, no doubt, have experienced the Murphy Road Bridge construction. What you see there is the southbound lane under construction that will be completing probably mid-November, and traffic will be shifted to that lane. It will still be a single lane signalized crossing of the bridge, while the northbound lane is demolished and the new northbound lane is constructed. Construction of the new northbound lane is scheduled for December, to start in December, and the project's scheduled to be completed by the end of April. We have Dixie Fork Creek Bridge fully designed and is just finishing up and permitting, and then that can be bid out and construction can be started. And we're working on a design RFQ for the County Line Road Bridge. In the CRA, we've just finished up the Map Road Town Center project. It's one of the photos there that was a pretty extensive project, and except for some minor landscape details, it's complete. Gomez Affordable Housing is wrapping up right now. That's a joint project with Habitat for Humanity, and we'll have 18 single-family homes that Habitat will be constructing. That's in the final stages of construction. And then Old Palm City Ripple, the site work is essentially complete. Landscaping is finishing up, and then construction of some of the art and educational structures will begin. So those completion dates of August 2021 aren't correct.
For ecosystems, we just wanted to highlight Savannah's Preserve Weir. That's a really important project where we tie in with St. Lucie County, and all those waters flow south. And We're about to start construction on that in December. We've issued the contract and we've had some material delays. I think everyone's experiencing those lately, but we're eager to get on that pretty quickly. And then a couple of traffic safety projects that we just did. Federal Highway Dixie Hope Sound, that was a big project. We had an extensive history of crashes at that intersection. We identified the need in our crash surveillance report, and we got that project funded through FDOT in their push-button contract. I think it took 2 years, whereas normally signal projects are taking 3 and 4 years to get built. Dixie Highway at Crossrip, we did some turn lanes there as well. Same situation as at Alicia Street. There were some extensive crashes, and we're hoping that with the new configuration, impatient drivers won't do the wrong thing, and we will have some good flowing traffic through there. So with that, that's the end of our presentation.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next is the City Utilities and Engineer project.
Good morning, Village of Indiantown Council, Martin County Board of County Commissioners, Stewart City Commission, and Martin County School Board. For the record, Tim Volker, City of Stewart Utilities and Engineering Director. I'm here to discuss some of the recently completed projects and upcoming projects within the city. Recently, the city completed 2 transportation-related projects. We had our Shepherd Park boat trailer parking improvements recently completed in August. The primary focus of that project was reconfiguring the parking lot and adding additional boat trailer parking. Due to the proximity to the river, we took kind of this opportunity to incorporate some water quality benefits for the river into the project. We did all pervious pavement or pervious concrete pavement. We did turf block parking and then added 2 rain gardens. And then also we recently completed a sidewalk on Dixie Highway and Southeast Florida Street. This was a joint county-city project. And I've driven on this road since it's been completed, and it's a high-use sidewalk, which is good to see. A lot of people from East Stewart coming over to the Kindred, Johnson, Colorado area of the city. An upcoming transportation project is our annual pavement maintenance program. How the city structures the program, we break the city up into 5 zones. Each fiscal year, we basically resurface one zone. So fiscal year 22, we're proposing to resurface Zone 4. The aerial map kind of depicts the location, which is south of Ocean Boulevard, east of Palm Beach Road, and then west of Monterey Road. And basically, when we go into a zone, there's 4 types of treatment the city performs. We have a milling and resurfacing contractor that will come in and do point repairs on all the streets that are getting microsurfaced. Once they're done with the point repairs, they finish the mill and overlay. And then we have our microsurfacing contractor come in right after and microsurface the roads that the milling and resurfacing contractor did the point repairs on. And then lastly, we have a third contractor come in and apply an asphalt rejuvenator. Basically, the rejuvenator is applied to the mill and resurfaced roadways, and it's basically a sunblock for the new asphalt. It protects the asphalt binder from the sun.
Sounds like cosmetic surgery.
Yes. And another upcoming transportation project is the Seminole Street Roadway Improvements Project. This is a CRA project, and the project consists of undergrounding all the overhead electric and streetscape improvements along Seminole Street in downtown Stewart, basically from St. Lucie Avenue to Colorado. The streetscape improvements include a curbless street, additional on-street parking, drainage improvements, pedestrian lighting, benches, and landscaping. As part of the drainage improvements, for the very first time, the city's going to be using what's called a permeable articulated paver block. which consists of an arch design in the paver block. And the arch design basically creates an internal chamber in the paver block that stores stormwater runoff. So it's part of a paved drain system. Then that water that's stored in that internal chamber, there's 57 stone underneath, and then there's drainage pipe that's smaller diameter that also collects all part of the system. So being downtown, there's not a lot of room for detention areas, bioswales, any of that. So everything's going to be built into the roadway and underneath it. And we're real excited about it. It has been used in other places and was highly recommended by the design engineer. So construction for the underground utilities is anticipated for 2022, and then the streetscape improvements will follow shortly thereafter in 2023. Next is the stormwater master plan. The last time the city had our stormwater master plan updated was back in 2006, so we thought this would be an opportune time to kind of dust off that plan, kind of see what projects were completed, what projects still need to be completed. As part of this process, we had stakeholder meetings with Martin County School Board, South Florida Water Management District, and FDOT to kind of incorporate some additional projects, and then also received feedback from the residents. We had some significant rainfall events back in May 2020 and June 2020. And then just recently, in August of this year, on August 13th. So once we kind of compiled all these projects, we then ranked them. We ranked them high, medium, and low priority, and then presented this plan to the commission just this past Monday on October 11th. And really our path forward is to slowly chip away at these projects. We want to get a pipeline kind of going where the projects are, somewhat designed to a certain percent, maybe around 60%, makes it grant ready to submit when a grant opportunity becomes available. And then one of the projects listed in our plan is the Tressler Drive Water Quality Improvement Project. Currently, the city received an $80,000 Indian River Lagoon Council grant, and just this past Monday, we submitted for a second grant to help supplement that first grant. Second grant that we submitted for was the Indian River Lagoon License Plate Grant for another $89,980. So with Tressler Drive, there's a 13.7 acre drainage area that discharges currently to Poppleton Creek untreated. As part of the project, we want to install a Type 2 baffle box and a bioswale prior to discharge into Poppleton Creek. Currently, the design is 90% complete, and we look to go to construction in February of 2022. An upcoming utility project that we have is located on the Martin County School Board property. We're calling it our Sailfish Ballfield Force Main. Currently, we have 2 force mains that run through the middle school property. They're currently 8 inches and 24 inches, and they're depicted by the green line shown on the aerial map there. And what's happening is the 24-inch force main is oversized, so the hydrogen sulfide gas is kind of coming off the liquid and corroding the pipe from inside out. So we're having sinkholes emerge throughout the length of the pipe. So what we're looking at doing, since it's oversized, is to reduce the pipe size and route it around the school property, which is shown in the magenta line. And the design is currently 60% complete, and we look to go to construction in summer of 2022. Lastly is the city's alternative water supply project. The driving force behind this project isn't capacity related. The current permitted capacity of the water treatment plant is 6 million gallons per day, and the city only makes about 3 million gallons per day. And then also the current population projections that we have show that the city has a sufficient water supply through 2050. So the main driving force behind this project was our PFOA/PFOS contamination that we had back in May of 2016. Basically, since 2016, we've been trying to come up with another way how to make water, and it's been challenging. We've been working diligently through 2016, and the best alternative is this alternative water supply, which is to tap a new water in the Floridan aquifer, which will allow us the flexible operational ability to, alternate our water supplies when we need it. And the Floridan well, which is depicted by the red circle in the bottom right-hand corner, is currently complete. The component you see in blue, our reverse osmosis facility, that's the basically heart and kidney of this project, is design completed, permitted, and the contract was awarded to the contractor at Monday night's commission meeting. So we'll be going under construction here within the next couple months and anticipate it to be built within 2 years. And then the concentrate pipeline and deep well modification will be completed within those 2 years. With that, does anyone have any questions?
I had one. You talk about Zone 4 being your upcoming pavement maintenance. What pavement zone did you just complete?
It would be Zone 3, which isn't shown on this map, but it was north of, or actually Zone 3 is actually west of Zone 4 in East Stewart, and that was recently completed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Up next is the county and the city large-scale development project.
Good morning, Samantha Lovelady with Growth Management. And I have Jeff Freeman here with me from the city. So this morning, we're just reporting approvals between January 1st and September 27th. Because we do our annual report at the beginning of the year. So we're just going to go summarize what's been happening so far this year. So we've had 604 units approved with new residential projects. There's Sable Point and Jensen Beach, Cove Royale on Cove Road, Hunter Lake on Salerno Road, High Point at Pratt Whitney Road, and Preserve at Park Trace at Cove and Willoughby. We have a comp plan amendments, 2 that have been approved. Pulte at Christ Fellowship, that's also known as High Point from the last slide, which is the 284 units, and Baldwin Estates, which is 1 unit. So far this year, we've had 365 building permits approved for residential. This is the location of the certificates of occupancy between January 1st and September 25th. And we've had 20 non-residential permits, and those are the new construction, new permits. And these are the locations for those. And I will hand it over to Kev. Any questions?
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Kev Freeman, Development Director, City of Stewart. I'm looking at the same time period that Sam mentioned, January to September 2021. A number of projects still in review. I've maintained the Canna PUD Costco on this list as it is within an appeal at the moment. I've got a map at the end which shows the sites that we're looking at. There's Avonlea. You'll see some activity in Avonlea, which is north of the Roosevelt Bridge. Silverthorne and Osceola Place, close to the city. Silverthorne is on the Willoughby and Monterey. Riverside is on Indian Street and Commerce. Approved in 2021, we had 3 projects totaling 176 units: Hidden Key, Palmetto Calais, and Central Parkway Lofts. They are all waiting permits at the moment. So the comprehensive plan amendments that we dealt with or are dealing with, they're still in review. They're Silverthorne, and that should be Riverside PUD. That's a typing error. Are in review at the moment. Canna, as I said, mentioned previously, is within an appeal. The maximum units shown are the maximum units available in that particular future land use, not necessarily the units that will be granted permission. And I did a bit of an analysis regarding the percentage of units that the city normally would approve in terms of the weight of the future land use, and it really is around 40% of the available maximum units is usually granted. So I've highlighted the projects in green and orange that are currently approved or in review. There are projects on there that are listed which are in construction at the moment, but were not necessarily approved in 2021. I think that's what we have. Any questions?
Who was first? Matt.
They have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a few questions. I know the main goal of this is trying to get an overall apples to apples, just general comparison of the growth that's happening throughout Martin County and the city of Stuart. But Kev, for instance, on this graph, we're going well before January of 2021.
We're showing projects from a 5-year time period. We work on a 5-year pipeline from 2017 to 2021, and those are all the projects that were approved or considered by commission or in review by commission during that timeline. Yes.
And I think it's beneficial for everyone if we look at city, Indiantown, county, all with the same sort of basic criteria, so all the citizens can get an understanding of what's happening. So when we mean in review, can you break that down? Because if I go one slide back or so, for the city, and I know the city's information a little better, but this will lead into some questions about the county. You know, for us, I guess I'm interpreting your presentation, Mr. Freeman, as in review means a submitted permit. For example, the Silverthorne PUD or the River
View
PUD, neither of those have come before the commission yet.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
In review is, for the city's interpretation, is fairly broad. And then if I transition to the county, we're only looking at January to present time of this year. And forgive my ignorance, I don't know enough about the larger projects that are going on, and are we using the same general criteria? You know, I'm curious about some of the other projects, just to note, Newfield and where that stands as a larger project. US 1 and Goldenrod, you know, where that stands as far as the commercial and residential units out there and the timeline for that as just a larger general picture. And I guess my goal or ask would be that in the future we try and align all our criteria for this as succinctly as possible, so that maybe we're working on a quarterly snapshot as well as a 5-year snapshot, and then if the city and county are interpreting what in review means, is that gone before the commission? Is that a submitted application to the department? And breaking it down a little more so that all residents can have a clear picture of the growth as a whole that's happening, you know, in incorporated and unincorporated Martin County. So I know there were a couple questions tucked in there. If you could maybe try and break them out, Ms. Lovelady, or...
May I ask a question? So what you're asking, number one, I know you're asking about what's in review and what that means, but in terms of seeing all the projects, would you like a map that includes both city and county as a whole?
Yes, I think, you know, if moving forward, we could maybe have a snapshot of the quarterly as we're doing, but then maybe a larger map as a whole throughout the county of, say, a 5-year snapshot. And then I'd like the city and the county to be on the same page as far as what's in review mean, you know. However we choose to define that, but so that we all know we're working an apples to apples comparison going forward. And then I'd love I'm just curious about, you know, Newfield. I'll always be curious, and US 1 and Goldenrod.
Bring up the owl.
Paul doesn't want to.
Good morning, all. My name is Clyde Doolin. I'm the Comprehensive Planning Administrator with Martin County Growth Management Department. Newfield, as it's called now, has been approved for 1,200 units in one master plan of the larger project. The future land use designation would allow 4,200 units, but only 1,200 have been approved. And that kind of goes to what you were asking about. And one of the challenges always in presenting this information, these, you know, you can have a very large project, but then it'll go forward in phases or in portions that will, and so one of the dangers is, and we say, oh, 4,200, 4,200, 4,200. Well, that's the maximum that could end up there someday, but that's not what's been approved at the moment. And so both at the city level and at the county level and at the village of Indiantown is you're going to have things happening in phases. And so it gets pretty complicated in the breakdown.
I definitely agree, and that's why I kind of raised this issue, that the overall intent is really for us to work and present as clear a picture as we can to the school board and to the residents. So my desire for the future is we try and align our criteria as best we can, and maybe each quarter with these meetings have a quarterly snapshot and a larger 5-year snapshot, say, or somehow that we're getting the best, clearest picture to the school board, for one, and to the residents as a whole.
Ms. Roberts? You, Marcia? You're gonna, okay.
So I just wanted to let you know that this isn't the first time that the school board, we work collaboratively with the county and the city and the village in planning these developments and seeing our staff is on a daily basis working, looking at our school capacity as it relates to proposed developments, not just approved developments. So this meeting isn't the first time that we hear about it. So just know that coordination and collaboration is going on very early in the process for most of these developments.
Anyone else? Ms. Clark?
Hi, good morning. Mr. Freeman, could you please put up the
Yeah, she heard.
colorful
Ms. Ernest
map?
next, and then Ms. Roberts.
All right, so I'm just gonna, for Mr. Mortel and our city manager, with the only one red one there is Costco And I just wanted briefly if maybe Mr. Mortel or city manager could just let the public know that even though we don't know specific timelines, just let them know what it means to be in an appeal process and a review, because people ask sometimes, and since we're here, we just want to, whoever wants to.
I'll be happy to just comment on the actual appeal that's
Yes, sir.
pending. The title of the appeal is Cartwright versus the City of Stewart. It's a NOAA administrative appeal, which is an administrative judge. It'll take place November 15th, 16th, and 17th in City Hall, and it's a comp plan amendment future land use map challenge that argues that the City of Stewart did not use proper data and analysis when making the determination to change the future land use to special neighborhood district. And it is not technically an appeal, as it's more of they call it a hearing, and the plaintiff will be calling witnesses to demonstrate why the plaintiff believes that the city failed to use proper analysis. And of course, the city will be calling witnesses demonstrating that in fact it did use the proper analysis. And the administrative judge will be making an initial ruling on it. It won't be based upon the transcripts. In fact, there's other appeals that don't even print the transcripts. And in the event the administrative judge were to rule in favor of the plaintiff, then the city would have the right to remediate or resolve by making whatever changes were done. The burden of proof that the city has to comply with is fairly debatable. That means that the city has to prove that a reasonable group of people could fairly debate that the land use that the city chose was chosen using guidelines, procedures, data, and analysis. And it does not have any relationship to zoning. So the zoning side of things doesn't apply. So as it relates to whether or not it's a Costco or whether or not there's a setback of 25 feet or 35 feet from the lot line, or how many units per acre, or what the landscaping looks like, and things that were done as part of the zoning approval is not at issue. The only thing that is at issue is the designation of the future land use. And for the record, the city development director chose the future land use of special neighborhood district, which limited the maximum number of units per acre to 15. The other commercial and multifamily zoning alternatives would have allowed the city to have it be up to 30 units per acre. And of course, in trying to be conservative, he chose the one that was less units, and that'll be presented during the trial.
Thank you, Mr. Mortel.
Ms. Hurd, then Ms. Roberts.
Yeah, I like Commissioner Matheson's suggestion that we take not just a snapshot, but a comprehensive look at the projects that have been approved and that are applications under review. I would add that in addition to providing this information, that the dates on which they were approved be included and the number of units for both the city and for the county, so that we can get a much better idea of trend lines and the total number of units that our communities are expanding in a 5-year period.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you, and I agree with both of those two, but I also just had a question about this. Where is Riverview?
It's a typo, I think. It's,
Well,
it's nominated, it's on here as Riverside. On one of the tables, it's mentioned as Riverview.
So in your documents, in one place you have Riverview, and another place you have Riverside. So are they two different things?
No, it's the same project.
Webster's Dictionary.
Okay, so Riverside has 200 townhouses and Riverview has 600 maximum units?
That's proposed. That's got,
And they're
that's
the
in,
same?
that's in application. That's the same.
It's
So
the same.
the future land use, as we just heard from the Costco explanation, allows a unit count based on the density allowed in that future land use. The zoning, which is approved on top of that, actually approves the number of units on that future land use. So although the future land use can provide 600, The application is for 200, and that's an application, so it's not been fully reviewed, and it's not been in front of any board or commission.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I ask,
Oh, Ms. Hurd, and then you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Hurd.
Oh, I'm done, sorry.
Oh, Ms. Clark.
is it Brigham Estates? Or what is that name? We said it was one. Samantha, something Estates, it was just one. Do you know where that is? What is it?
Yes,
Where
it's
is
in
it?
South County.
Okay.
And it was one property that the future land use did not match the rest of the neighborhood. So they wanted to make it match. It's just one property.
And it's the 255 units?
No, it's
No,
one.
just
one
one,
home.
just one.
One
Okay, I
home.
wasn't sure because I saw that, okay.
Any more questions? Okay. Moving right along. That's it.
Thank you.
The Village of Indiantown project.
Good morning. I'm Althea Jefferson, Village of Indiantown Director of Community and Economic Development. In consideration of the last presentation, I do have separated here before me what's currently under review, and we define under review the same as the county and city consider in review. Those projects that we have seen, we've either seen them in the format of a pre-application meeting or just a scoping session with them and our staff, and we're aware that it's forthcoming. So we have 6 projects like that right now. And then we have only one recently approved development, which is Casa Bella. But this first slide, I'm showing to you what has been approved and is still active in the village, although not completely built out. For Carter Park and Sandy Oaks, we've had certificate, their COs issued both last year and this year. Last year, Carter Park was issued 5 COs, and as of January this year, 3. And for Sandy Oaks, they were issued 4 COs last year, and this year we've had a total of 2. So that's Carter Park that I just mentioned, Sandy Oaks. And then we have Casa Bella, which was recently approved within the last year at least. And it consists of 3 live-work units and 7 multifamily or 800 square feet apartments. And we have not issued COs for that, but we anticipate by the end of the year we would be. Currently under review or in review, we have Parkview Villas, which is located at Osceola and East Elma Waters Avenue. And the proposal for Parkview Villas includes 36 unit multifamily live-work apartment units. And this is just a rendering, again, still under review. We have River Oak, who has had a pre-app as well as one submittal, and we're waiting for a full second submittal. And they're located between Famel and Fernwood Forest, north of Kenner. And in an attempt to try to show you what they're proposing, it is somewhat of a unique layout, but this particular project is proposing 153 single-family 3- and 4-bedroom units that would be rental only. We also have Terralago, which most of you know as the Indian Town DRI, consisting of over 800 acres. Currently, they have approvals for 1,650 units, and their new proposal as Terralago includes 2,488 units and 100,000 square feet of non-residential. And here I've given you a map showing their 5 phases. Phase 1 has an A, B, and C. And I have here with me today, I can tell you that the first phase is 228 single-family units, 174 townhomes, and the clubhouse for the community. The anticipation of the applicant is that they would follow up with Phase 1B and 1C for 399 single-family units and 300 apartment units, as well as a portion of their commercial in the coming 6 to 9 months. Phase 1A, as well as the entire Terralago DRI master plan, at least, will be going, we believe, to the Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board in December, should their most current submittal we find sufficient enough to move forward. Let me give you a little more information about other projects under review which we received since the presentation was done. In the last 5 business days, we have received a comp plan amendment for an anticipated project that would be 445 units, and that's called Citrus Landing. In addition to that, Seminole Junction, which is 18 townhomes and 2 live-work units, has also submitted their application as of last Friday. So in the next report, you'll see a visual of what you've been requesting today, showing the map of the COs, in-review projects, and projects approved. Are there any questions?
You're busy.
Thank you. Next up, School Board.
Good morning, everyone. Greetings from the Martin County School Board and Martin County School District. John Millay, Superintendent of Schools. Happy to be here. About a year ago, I remember meeting this, and I mentioned about going through challenging times and how it takes everyone pulling together. And I just want to thank each of you because I've gotten to know you as commissioners and leaders and administrators, and I appreciate the collegiality, the relationships you're helping build. It helps our district, and I know our school board appreciates that too. So thank you for all the flexibility that you've given to the schools as we've managed through some tough times. We've had a very positive start this school year. Happy to say it's been a safe start, a busy start, an unusual start, but I'm proud of our teachers and our staff. Just like every entity school district throughout Florida and the country, we're all searching for more employees. So if any of y'all would like to volunteer, help, you have people to recommend, we're always looking for great people. I also want a little shout out here. Over the past 2 years, I want to thank our Board of Education. A special shout out though to Marcia Powers. She's been our chair for 2 years, and just being a superintendent in 2 different states, any chair that has navigated this the last 2 years in the United States is to be commended. So thanks, Ms. Powers. I appreciate her. We meet regularly, weekly, and she's always a great help, so appreciate her dedication to the district. Our presentation is broken down into 2 parts. We have several slides I want to take you through. Mark Seacrest is going to take you through our facilities. A lot of great things happening in Martin County Schools. for students and families to be excited about. So I'll let him talk about the first part, then we'll transition into enrollment.
So good morning, everyone. Mark Seacrest, Director of Facilities. We have exciting news. The slides may not show exactly what's happening at the schools, but Jensen Beach Elementary and Palm City Elementary are actually coming out of the ground. The key date on July 27th, we issued a notice to proceed. We are currently under a construction schedule. The next milestone will be November 18th, 2022. That is actually for both schools. We're hoping to have the new two-story school building constructed and being able to move in probably over Christmas break. All that is tentative. I know many of you know there's a stress on material delivery, a stress on getting materials, so tentatively right now we're hitting that schedule, so we're aiming for that goal. The next slide has actual pictures. This is where we are at Jensen Beach. Even though both schools are running the same schedule, they kind of have different activities at each site. Jensen Beach actually had to have the covered play area removed, the basketball court removed, the existing restroom building removed, so all that happened there near the track. We're actually building the school between the track and the existing school in that play field. Currently, right now, they have a quarter of the foundation poured, and they actually have the stem wall going up. By the end of this next week, we should have all the foundations poured at the school, and they'll start laying block around the perimeter of the building. So they did a lot of demo at first, and now they're starting the foundations, and we're coming out of the ground. So that's Jensen Beach Elementary. Again, Palm City's following the same schedule. They got the notice to proceed on July 27th. The next milestone date is November 18th, 2022, where we're hoping to have the building ready to move into over Christmas break. The next slides will show the progression. At Palm City, they were able to start a little different in stages. They actually, there wasn't much site work to be done. They just cleared the site, started bringing up the grade, and they started the foundations right away. Their block walls are actually up around 12 feet, plus or minus. So they're almost 75% complete with the perimeter wall. So they're finishing up the foundations, and then they'll start the block wall on the, it'll actually be the south side. They're actually starting the retention pond. That's going to have to be de-watered, and they're going to start that process too. The next project is South Fork High School. We're actually in the GMP process, and what that means is the contractor, Morgani, has put it out to bid to the subcontractors. They're going to get bids for every trade, every work that's required, and then they're going to put together a GMP and present it to me, and then I'll discuss with Dr. Millay, and then eventually it'll go to the board for discussion. So we're in the GMP process right now, but the proposal is a new gym building, a new HVAC chiller plant, and then we're addressing the actual practice fields where they play now. So that's a pretty big project. The next project, Stewart Middle School. We actually just completed the GMP process with that. We're under review of the GMP and negotiations with the contractor. I'm working with staff and Dr. Millay on those costs. But we are currently in that GMP review process. And they are getting a new cafeteria building and a new admin media center, and then a lot of site work and some demo work. So it's a multi-phase project. So the next big project is our school district office. It's actually the old Stewart News building. We have a big warehouse, and it has actually 3 large rooms. We're actually using the smallest room and converting that room into a district boardroom, multi-purpose room. It'll be similar to this room, and we can actually use it throughout the day to break it out into multi-sessions. That project is currently going out to pre-bid on October 20th, so all the contractors will come in, and then they're going to provide a proposal for the cost of construction, and we'll review that with Dr. Millay, and then that'll go eventually to the school board. So that's moving right along also. And that's it.
Yeah, I want to make a special note and thanks to the taxpayers of Martin County, the investment that you made a few years ago. The board is managing those funds well, and they give a lot of oversight at regular meetings when we update them. So thank you, Mark. This next portion, I want to introduce Kimberly Everman. Oh, question?
Yes, go ahead. Before you left, Mark, thank you very much. Question, I know that they're building the retention pond north of Martin Highway. It happens to be very, almost next door to an existing retention pond. And I'm just wondering if you have the ability to collaborate with the county staff, or I think that that's our retention pond, about instead of having two separate retention ponds with a small berm in between, maybe we can work together and make it a large retention pond, which after a major rain event, it will be a single large retention pond anyway, so maybe we can just plan it that way up front. And, we can work with our staff and your staff, and instead of having two next to each other, we could just have one.
You might not like my response. We tried that direction, and then we were directed to do our own pond from South Florida and the county. So that's why we have our separate pond now.
And we'll see what we can do.
All right. Continue. Go ahead. No, she got to present.
One large wetland.
There's several slides we're going to go through here that Kim's going to walk you through. The first is what's called our COFTI. She's going to talk about that, how it funds facilities in our district. And then we're actually going to look at general enrollment. So there's more slides that you can look at more later. She'll focus a little bit more on the summary. So turn it over to Kim.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, we have two enrollments that we report to the DOE, and the COFTA, C-O-F-T-E, is capital outlay full-time equivalency, which is typically what I report at these meetings because it really deals with capital projects and enrollment. FTE is looking at the overall district and all the programs and everybody that is enrolled in the district. COFTA is really used for facilities planning because what the state is looking at is how many physical bodies are actually in our schools. And we're looking at our enrollment in comparison to what our facilities will hold so that we can plan for capital projects, basically, and look at needs where we might need to address. Okay, so COFTA and FTE. Today, you're going to get a little bit of both. We normally report only COFTA. Today, I'm going to give you an overview at the end of FTE so you can see everybody that's in our district. Okay, so COFTA, the state wants us to take out students in our facilities that are not physically at the location. So they don't let us include charter schools, McKay scholarships, any Department of Juvenile Justice, virtual instruction, homebound hospital, dual enrollment students are not counted, or anything after April. One other important note on here that was not included on the slide is pre-K. It's a voluntary program. We are not allowed to report pre-K, but what we do report is ESC pre-K. So those are included in my COFTA numbers. Does anyone have any questions on COFTA versus FTE?
What are McKay students, please?
McKay is in our overall programs, and that's a voucher program that the parents can utilize as well, but it is not in our COFTA, it is in our FTE.
When you're talking about dual enrollment, is that full-time dual enrollment?
Dual enrollment is an avenue that our high school students can take where they're getting credits at IRSC for classes that they're enrolled at. So they could be in our schools at some point of the day, but they're also attending IRSC classes.
So it doesn't include, for example, if a student took one dual enrollment class, they would not be included in this?
Depending on when our IT department is reporting that number is whether it's on the FTE or not. Right.
And you also said that ESC pre-K.
Correct.
Can you specify the difference of the pre-Ks and why one is included and one is not included?
ESC pre-K, it's a program that the students are entered in, and it comes with variables that we have to include in their educational components for pre-K. they're asking us to report those numbers because there is additional things that need to be reported, but the regular pre-K is not included in COFTA. And I'm not 100% exactly why that's that way, but I'm assuming that it's because there's additional things that are involved with teaching the ESE pre-K students.
Thank you.
Marcia.
I can elaborate on the ESC VPK a little bit in that school districts typically are the provider of ESC VPK because of the fact that they initiate the 504 plans and IEP plans. That's a school district responsibility. So that's why those VPK students, because they receive those extra services outside of what a normal VPK student would receive either in a public school or at a private provider.
Thank you. Ms. Hurd?
Yeah, one of our public speakers this morning, Mr. Layton, mentioned that there are 800 students that are on a wait list at the Classical Academy. How do you track those numbers? Because presumably those are students who are going to come out of our public schools to go into that charter school.
We don't track charter school enrollment. We do see it, and it's reported to the DOE, but it is not included in our capital outlay. So what we could look at, and we do look at, is trends as far as how many students and what areas they're going to Treasure Coast Classical, in regards to how they're leaving perhaps a certain school and they're attending TCCA, but we don't technically track those numbers.
Marcia.
So we are just, we are aware of what that looks like, what those wait list numbers, we do track that internally. It might not show up on this report, but as a school district, we are looking at, you know, where students are coming from, and because TCCA accepts students from, any student can go to TCCA outside of Martin County, but we do try to keep, we do, in fact, keep an eye on where they're going, what grade level those students are leaving the Martin County School District and going to TCCA, so we can kind of plan accordingly for the following year. So,
Right.
Did you want to say?
Ms. Roberts?
And I just wanted to clarify also that not all of those students are coming from our schools, or from the.
Correct.
schools, right?
They're from other counties as well, or however they get into the actual enrollment at TCCA. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'll go ahead and continue. The next slides are going to be reporting the COFTA, which enrollment is all determined by the dates that they're reported. So the COFTA enrollment is looking at spring of last year, and the latest enrollment that I did on this was in September 28th, which is close to the 10-day count. And the COFTA numbers for the elementary school, you can see, are just a little bit under at minus 127s with a difference of 1.80%. Okay? And the next slide is showing the comparison. Now, again, these are the schools that we're able to report, and they're basically our traditional schools. The middle school is showing the spring enrollment to 10-day count at 23 above and 0.58%. High school was a little bit more of an increase at 287 students. As you see, Martin County got a big percentage of that. And the overall increase for high school was 5.38%. So looking at our COFTA overall, we are including our alternative schools, which is a component of COFTA as well. Our district was up 193 students at an increase of 1.17%, so it was favorable from last year as well. Okay? So now we're going to look at the FTE, which is all the reports that we're not able to report in COFTA. Okay, so in our elementary schools, and I want to note here that the dates for the enrollment from year to year was taken here, so we could look at the actual official October count, and an October count that I took was October 5th to get a year-to-year FTE count. And One thing I should explain about COFTA also is what the state does to get that is they have an October survey and a February survey. And what they do is they combine those two dates and you divide it by 2 and they come up with what our COFTA should be. So that's why when we report an October date as an official date, it's very important. So our official date for this year is actually tomorrow, October 15th. So I'll be taking the numbers tomorrow for all of our traditional schools and getting our first leg of our COFTA window for this year, and then I'll do the February count. So this is the slides looking at October, the official count from last year, till close October 5th. So we can see the increase and the decreases in a year's time frame. So the alternative schools were down just 2 at minus 8%. And here are some reports on the alternative, hospital, homebound, Riverbend. Spec will be also included in here. We have an overall increase of 12. At the middle school for the alternative, 11.65%. And for our high schools, we are an increase of 27 with a difference of 20.15%. Our charter school numbers, we're reporting these for you today, showing the overall year growth and decreases, -1 at Clark, and Clark is kind of a fixed number at 250 seats, so we kind of already know that there's usually about 250 seats enrolled there. Our Hope Center for Autism had an increase of 18 students. Treasure Coast Classical was a 152 student increase. So our overall charter schools are 169, with an increase of 12.66%. Looking at our pre-K programs, what we're able to report for everybody is our Head Start, Perkins, Port Salerno Learning, Salerno Schoolhouse, our Stewart Learning Center pre-K off 10th Street, and our overall voluntary pre-K. And you could see some fluctuation just slightly in some of those numbers. So our programs, do you want to go back to that one pre-K? It's okay. There you go. 7 students less at 1.93%. Biggest increase was at the VPK level. For our programs, some programs that we have in addition to, for offerings, Family Learning Centers, Family Empowerment Scholarship, Martin Sales, McKay Scholarship, and Project Search for an increase of 109 and a 42.58% increase. We also have reported today some home and private numbers for you. From year to year, we have actually a decrease in homeschool, and students have come back to school, so there's a little bit of increase in the homeschool. Private school is what's reported, and that they're down 20 according to our enrollment records. And there's just a couple of other miscellaneous items for a drop in our home private numbers of overall minus 123. The difference of an 8.14%. And we'll get an overall view of our district. So our COFTA numbers were in the 16. You could see with these other additions, it brings us to a district total of around 18,541. And then the October 5th count was 18,940. So the increase was almost 400. So 399 is a 2.15% increase overall. Next slide, I think it's just showing you that adding in some of our programs and the home private other component brings us to around 20,308 students to 20,693, an increase of 385 for our overall students in Martin County reported. And that is it, and I'll take any other questions.
Ms. Clark?
Hi. Good morning, everyone. I have 4 items I want to discuss, so I hope nobody gets upset. And I also have to leave too, but first thing, maybe I just noticed this. The Live the Vision, Achieve the Mission. If it was always there for the past umpteen years, fine, but I just noticed it. I just wanted to congratulate the school board on that maxim and making sure that hopefully it engenders good work all the time, and it's just a good thing. Thank you, school board, for your statement. The next thing is, I wanted, and you don't have to answer these, I'm just going to throw them out there. I wanted to know if the school board, this school board or any of the other 6 or 7 counties keeps numbers on the students who are coming from homeless situations, and if there's any way to work or coordinate or anything that cities or counties can do to assist students who are in this type of situation, and are the numbers going up and down, especially during the pandemic? If you've seen that, you don't have to answer, I'm just putting it out there. The next thing that I wanted to ask was related to that is the number of the students who are using the free school lunch program, if you've seen any changes in those numbers during the pandemic, and how we're doing in Martin County with regard to that. And then my fourth thing is with regard to technology. I wanted to know if all the schools still have a library at their schools, and if you see either a trend in kids not borrowing books at the library. I think most of the classes have library time when they actually go into the library. And I wanted to know specifically if our school system has changed to where we're actually loaning kids books like to read through Kindle or whatever from the library, how that technology is going, or if we're still just learning them, lending them the actual book, or if we have a whole electronic system set up, not just to order and reserve the book, but if they're reading electronically through the library system. That's it. You don't have to answer them, I'm just putting them out there. Dr. Malay.
How about I just get a brief, and we'll have a staff member who can follow up with you. But in regards to the homeless, we do take that seriously. The most vulnerable people in our community would be some of those we would never know. So we're always having a watchful eye. The board invests in social workers. They've even added another position to make sure that those social workers are out meeting the needs and working with people that have barriers, and that we don't want them that could be in a homeless situation and we may not even know it. So yes, we do provide programs. We monitor data on that. Free and reduced lunches, that's been this past year, the entire school year. There's, for the National School Lunch Program, all kids, every kid in Martin County can get a free breakfast or lunch. So those numbers, every kid gets that. It'll be different maybe the next year. We'll go back. So in the past 2 years that program has held. We'll be able to gauge those numbers a little more clearly in the 22-23 school year to see what happens with that. There's even some talk that's out there on the federal level, I've heard, of trying to keep that program for good. So parents can, now that everybody can eat free, that's a challenge for them to make sure they're signing up and telling us who they are. So we want to make sure we're always tracking that. And then on technology, yes, we do have some of those platforms that are involved more at our high school level. So the exact health of that, we'll have to get more, but it is occurring, and I would foresee more of that, those types of things where e-checkouts.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez, then Mr. Matthews.
Okay. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank all the boards. I know that this year has been a really hard year on everyone, and specifically the school board. But I know that this conversation has been brought prior to this joint meeting and other joint meetings, where we know that public education right now, with their funds being reduced on the state level, what are you guys doing for public education and increasing that enrollment or keeping that enrollment? Just because I'm a product of public education, and I think education is key for success, and I feel that everyone deserves a good education, and with resources being less and money being tight on the school boards, and I think that that we need to help each other as different boards, and so I wanted to know what the school district is doing in that regard.
I'll give a couple items, and then I'll defer that to board members that may want to speak to that. Florida, of course, is a state of choice, so parents have the right to choice, and that's legislative. We don't have the right to, we make sure that's implemented. So we have to make sure we're good stewards in working with all those different choices. Right now, with some current legislation, we're having to react to some things, honestly. The school board is looking at some of the family empowerment scholarship monies and McKay monies that we're having to carve out that will go to some of those other areas, and those are areas we have to work with. The biggest thing we want to do every day is to be the very best that we can be in Martin County School District. So when you hear building our brand, we're trying to make sure, like on our website, our internet presence, and just what person to person, what we say to each other about the schools that we have in the school district. I want it to be positive and a place where everybody wants to be. So when parents drop their kid off each morning, they're glad they're in a Martin County School District. So our brand is what we're proud of. Our board has invested heavily, a great investment in our new English Language Arts series to make sure that we can address all the learning needs and students in a consistent manner that's equitable across the entire district. So it wouldn't matter which school in Martin County you're in, that you're going to be in a great school and they have a great curriculum. So those are just two areas, and I'll defer if our board wants to add any part of that.
Mr. Merritt, then you can go, Marshall. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, as the superintendent said, because of the shift in the way that the state is allowing parents to make that choice, so we're moving to a model where the money follows the student, so individual parents can make that choice where they want their child to attend school. And just to clarify, I just want, even though we specifically as a school district don't report on our charter schools are public schools. So I want to let the public know that those are governed the same, kind of the same as our school district, and those charters come through the school district, and we approve those, but they are public schools with open access to any parent. And there has been some shifts, which we're seeing the impact of specifically with scholarships. Those scholarships allowing parents to take dollars, like kids that may have been in private school prior to this school year. Typically, we're not allowed to get that scholarship, and now this year that trend has changed, along with some eligibility requirements that have changed. So we have seen a shift in some of those students, not necessarily leaving our school, but taking advantage of those scholarships that are already in private schools. So, we utilize a lot, and we're really trying to use our social media and other platforms to let parents know all the wonderful things that are happening in our public schools. So it's becoming a lot more competitive. We're competing with lots of choices that parents have now. So it's becoming, we're really having to showcase what we do, whereas before, we were kind of the only option, and now parents have that choice.
Thank you. Mathis.
Thank you. Either Mr. Powers or Dr. Millay, I'm curious if you could expand a little bit on the school board's relationship to charter schools regarding school zones and school resource officers, and how does that affect the board, its budget, and that process of deciding that? Are there certain criteria for how large the charter school is, or forgive my ignorance?
So from a permitting standpoint, that kind of falls on the county to look at traffic and traffic patterns. We don't determine where school zones are located on school, within roadways. We have also Anderson Middle School, which is just their neighbor of TCCA. I did want to comment on that. The superintendent and I have been working with the Sheriff's Department, the school resource, the lieutenant or captain in charge of the school resource officers to try to help and find some solutions. I know that I was going to mention also there's a shortage. I know everyone is experiencing the labor shortage. It's no different for the Sheriff's Department. They have, I think it was 15 vacant school crossing guard positions. It's and I'm going to put in a plug, it's a great part-time job for someone. They pay right now $15 an hour. If there's anyone out there that would like to become a school crossing guard. And unfortunately, what's happened is the sheriff's department has had to prioritize where the current crossing guards that they do have, where they are, where the students and families would most benefit from a safety standpoint. So, you know, they're experiencing the same shortages. They're trying to backfill that with personnel if they can. If they're not on an active call doing what they're supposed to be doing every day, they are trying to cover those areas that are in high need. So I know we met with the sheriff's department and the sheriff and his team last week, and you know, everybody's working really hard to fill the gaps. Unfortunately, with the labor shortage, you know, it is what it.
Oh, thank you.
I would just echo that again. The Sheriff's Department and the school district have had a great relationship. Our schools are very safe. Our board has watched that. They've heavily invested in making sure our schools are safe. And it's an inconvenience thing right now, and we know there's safety. But I also want to point out, they do follow the regs and the statutes. For instance, while we want to continue the crossing guards, we want to make sure that supervision is out there, there are the automated traffic stops. The challenge is kids are crossing, but our schools are community schools, so a lot of parents are driving and dropping off. So there are automated ways to cross, but it's just that time frame in the morning, and it's just a patience thing. And if we'll continue, I'll ask, you know, again, to keep being flexible the next few months as much as possible, because I can tell you that his department and our school district, our board chair, takes this very seriously, and we're working on that. We've even offered, we sent out an email to all of our staff, for instance, if a lunchroom worker or a custodian, we're going to be flexible. If they would like to start a little earlier and work for the sheriff for an hour, or finish their job and work an extra hour, we have a pool of employees that we're going to say, if you choose to be co-employed, they could start. So that's just one measure. We're trying to work together to solve a community issue.
Thank you. Go, Ms. Day.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two things. This topic about crossing guards had come to our meeting as well. Some concerned parents had come forward. And I think, you know, and this morning it was mentioned about Martin Highway. I think they do a remarkable job. And when we talk about school safety zones, or school zones, if you will, they're not just designed to protect the students, they're also designed to protect the crossing guards. Many years ago on Map Road, a crossing guard was luckily not seriously hurt, but was hit by a car in performance of her duty. And so I think if people are disrespectful or even illegal drivers, the kids are at danger, and so are the professional crossing guards. So the crossing guard issue, and I like that concept of maybe having some of your employees, because there is a 12 to 15 guard hole that needs to be filled, so that's first. But in regards to the school zone on Cove to me is similar to Martin Highway, where people are just using it. It's no longer a community road through a neighborhood. A lot of people that are getting off the Turnpike or 95 on their way over to Stewart are racing through there, could care less about the school zones, the neighbors, or anybody else, or even other drivers on the road that are following the rules. So I've worked very carefully with our staff and the sheriff and the district to make sure that Martin Highway became a little bit more of a safer zone. We have a lot of signage. We have signalized intersections, which are, of course, the most helpful. Because if people are going to speed or go through stop signs or go faster through a school zone, the last thing that they'll probably do is go through a red light. It's not impossible, but they will. So if it is a county issue in terms of can that section of Cove Road for TCCA be a school zone, I would request of our administrator and our staff to look into the feasibility of that. I know that Anderson is up the road, but it doesn't make a difference. For us in Palm City, we have Hidden Oaks Middle School and Palm City Elementary School right next to each other. And we have addressed that. It's a zone, and then it's not, and then it is. But if it's involving the safety of the students, it should be our first responsibility. So I would ask Ms. Krista to look into that and get back to us at our commission meeting so that we can discuss that with the TCCA folks. Thank you.
I just, Commissioner Campy just addressed most of my comments regarding Cove Road, but I did want to say that we had some parents reach out regarding Cove Road, and we did start a conversation with Ms. Krista and the county engineer just very recently to look into the signal and the crossing safety. I think one of the comments that we had heard regarding the signal is that people were blowing through the yellow light or actually running the red light, so which maybe necessitates a school crossing zone. So we did initialize steps to speak with our county engineer and look at that crossing.
Yeah, we initiated engineering studies. So we're in the process of getting those formal studies done, and then we'll come back to the board.
Susan Gibb Thomas.
Thank you. I would just like to back up just a step in the discussion of charter schools. And I would like to take this opportunity to kind of highlight and thank the Martin County School Board and the Martin County Commission to be forward-thinking and working together with Indian River State College with a new charter high school just feet outside of the village's boundary. I think that is a huge thing, not only for the village of Indiantown and the students there, but for all of Martin County. And I just want to thank both boards for your persistence and for your diligence in doing this. Thank you. We appreciate it. And if there's anything that we can do to help, just let us know.
Marcia.
Thank you. So just back to the school safety issue, and thank you, Susan, I appreciate those comments. So I think it was brought up about the parents and running red lights, and what I would say is that we have issues with our drop-offs at multiple schools. The Sheriff's Department is really been diligent in working with us at certain schools, like on Cantor Highway. We don't want Cove Road to become an issue like that. We have parents dropping kids off, stopping in the middle of the road and dropping their student off because they're in a hurry to get to work. And so I guess just as a public service announcement is to please everyone slow down. School is in session, and be thoughtful and mindful of the situation that you're putting your own students in. Taking the time in the mornings and then in the afternoons at drop-off and pick up, that you are not putting your own child in a unsafe situation. We are working very, very hard. I know the county is, and as well as the school board and the Sheriff's Department, to find some solutions, some temporary solutions until, the traffic studies can be done and all of that. But so we ask the parents to be our partner in keeping your kids safe as well. So.
I'll add one final thing to that too. I just want to share, it is a critical situation, but we can't just deal with that in isolation. The school board is very much in turn with understanding, like there's a shortage now of custodians in the school district, paraprofessionals, bus drivers, teachers, and that's not a Martin County thing. We actually are faring better than many actually, but it's a Florida thing. It's a national thing. So all these competing interests and a domino effect of one employee moving to the other. And I just want everyone to know that our board, it's not just an HR issue. There's just not that applicant pool because they are working hard behind the scenes. They negotiate with 2 unions. They look at our teachers union. They look at AFSCME, which is everyone basically that's not a teacher. And they deal with all those in groups. And they're really trying to be careful with funds, be prudent with funds when some of our funds are being taken away and, a shortage of funds. So I just want everyone to know it's not just a one isolated problem. It's all over, and our board takes it seriously. I know that.
Any more questions?
I want to thank everybody for a fruitful meeting and thank all the partnerships, and it's all for the kids and the community. Let's go have a great day on purpose. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.